Well, Mashable's not giving a nice write-up to No Nut November. Were you doing that? Are you doing that?
No.
No nut?
No. When I was a kid, though, every November was No Nut November in my house.
Why?
My brother was allergic to nuts.
They're very funny stuff.
That's where that was going.
So basically, they did this big article because there's these big forums for No Nut November, right?
Yeah.
You have been definitely nutting though, right? Personally,
I'm a nut man.
Yeah,
I'm a nut man.
Nutmeg.
I got a monocle. I got a cane. I'm a nut man. Yeah.
Pizza nut.
Pizza nut.
I'd like the idea of when you were doing your 6-day fast, were you still nutting on the fast?
No. 3-day fast.
You didn't have the energy?
Not really. It's, you know what it is? It becomes less of a priority. You just don't.
So that was another benefit of the fast is you don't need to bust the nuts.
No, and you have this crazy mental clarity on them, but yeah, you're just not interested.
So you have all this mental clarity, you don't even need to nut. So you're saying the faster, you're really pushing it.
The fasts are great, actually. Yeah, it's just I will say the worst part is just you kind of like be like, yeah, I just like eating.
I don't have that as much as you.
Yeah, like I just
hide for sustenance.
It's just fun to do sometimes.
So basically, the premise of the whole thing, and there is like other people posting because I was like looking into it, and there's like 30 of these, right? And their whole thing, it's these kind of like sex positive bloggers that hate the idea of people sort of shaming nutting.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like because they're also like, oh, no, November is like a right wing thing, even though it's like, how?
Oh, yeah. Well, because
anything that becomes guy self improvement is like, oh, that's a right wing thing.
Anything guy self improvement is automatically right wing.
It's like, oh, you're trying to like learn how to read better, huh? You fucking
Nazi.
Conservative piece of shit. And you're like, what?
Well, there's so many funny combinations of who's writing the articles. Like the idea of like the guy that, you know, just can't stop nutting. That's just fucking like, actually, it's better for you. Yeah.
The coper.
There's the coper. And then there's the girl who it's like her boyfriend's like no sex on November, and then she's kind of writing all these articles like every man that's not having sex on November is actually a problem.
Oh man, if you want to really fuck up a woman, be like, I'm withholding sex from you
for a month.
But just the notion, because women is like, that is one of their things.
It's rude. I don't do it just not to be that rude. I still have sex against my will.
Yeah, but I'm saying like just women's whole, in terms of like the leverage that both parties in a relationship have, it's generally understood among women that they're like, we're the ones who withhold sex.
Of course.
Right? So it's like, you fucking withhold sex from a woman. She's like, what are you, gay? What is going on? Like, they just can't comprehend it.
I know. No,
it's a power move. It is a power move if you're a dude, but it's going to cause a lot of problems.
It's a power move, but it's also sort of like, it's like, to me, that's like the low blow move.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a girl telling dudes they have small dicks or whatever. It's like, I just won't, it's like, listen, I'm not going to put in the performance, but I'm not going to put the girl in that tailspin of saying no.
Of course. Of course.
I have to be in like a super, super busy.
But like,
even then, I won't say like I don't have sex. I'll make up another excuse, be like, would love to, like can't right now. And she's like, you're lying in bed. You're like, no, you don't understand. I was literally just about to I have all this.
yeah.
I have documents to file right now.
But like the idea, like a chick that your girl doesn't do something you want, and you're like, oh well, how about this? And how about like no sex for a week?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you said that, your chick's like, what? Unbelievable. But
you know what? Maybe I would do it.
Not
probably in the past, as if a girl denied it to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For no real reason. Like, oh, I'm just not in the mood. Then the next like time, for sure, I just happen to not be in the mood too. Then
but that's even still, I think most chicks, that's still a tough one. They'll be like, what? Like even if they did it.
That's probably the only
because they're not logical like that. Where like, they're not like, oh, well, I guess I withheld it from you, so now you're doing that. They'll just be like, what, I'm not hot?
There you go.
No, it's just we're doing the same game. And go, what game?
I would be very clear on that. Like, listen, this is in this household, we're not denying. Obviously, if you're pushing it, if you're demanding 3 times a day, it's like, okay, this has to stop what you got going on right now.
Yeah.
This constant sex demands. But if it's like a normal amount of time, it's like, that's part of the fucking deal to some degree. Of
course.
That's a good way to get everyone grumpy, period.
Absolutely.
Is have someone just going to start being like,
Yeah, withholding sex. I mean, again, you're like commoditizing it and like.
I'm not begging either. I'm not out here to fucking grovel.
Oh, hell no. No, you're in trouble.
I'll jerk off on the other side of the bed with you. What fucking
100%. If you're in a relationship where your girl's forcing you to like beg for sex, bad spot to be in.
And that is a lot of guys too.
I know, that's a really bad spot to be in.
Yeah,
that's where you need to do No Nut November. You'd be like, the begging for sex, you'd be like, hey, just so you know, November.
You need to change the dynamic.
Yeah, you go, hey, I'm doing this thing with the boys. Sorry.
Yeah. And there is, with this thing, because their whole thing is they're all these sexologists, right? And it's like their whole thing is just like, you know, everyone should be more open about sex. They basically, their whole deal is like, how can we make sex like not cool for guys, but cool for girls?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if a guy was like, yeah, smash tons of chicks, they'd be like, you know, they smashed you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't like that stuff, but
No.
So this sexologist, Sylvia Neves, she tells Mashable, there's literally no benefits to giving up masturbation for a month or even a week. None. Frequent ejaculation is good for the prostate health, and masturbation is healthy behavior. So there's so many things that she's missing, but more so, this is what you need. You need to take these people that have this perspective and just fill it into where it's good. Like, for example, if you're a 16-year-old boy, you need to get your mom on this guy. You know what I mean? If you're a 16-year-old boy that's ever getting fucking, you know, what's on the computer? You go, Mom, I need you to read Sylvia Neves.
Yeah, Sylvia Neves. It's very important for my prostate. And she's like, you're 16.
Every like 15-year-old boy needs to be like, Sylvia.
I mean, that's a
Yeah.
flex. If you're a 15-year-old boy and you could do No Nut November, man.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's like Jocko Willink
Better man than
and
me.
fucking David Goggins wrapped
Yeah.
into one.
So I like that Sylvia Neves gives a talk and she thinks about how like fucking jacking off's good, and she thinks it's gonna be like all these women coming up with their vibrators, but it's like a bunch of 16-year-old bros being like, yes, tell us how jerking off's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just like, you know what? I just think that jerking off is really important. 9 guys are like, hoo, 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 hoo.
But that's the thing too. It's like it's so funny. Like the sexologist or whatever. Like, yes, obviously it's important, but also it's not going to matter if you take a month off.
Well, more important.
Like nobody's like at the December 1st, you go, yo, you guys all have prostate cancer. Good one.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's
Well, that's her saying that there's no benefits, which that there's benefits to SMAT.
Yeah, to do it.
But more importantly, what she's not realizing is that for some people, anything that develops into a habit, you know, getting off it for a month does reset the whole thing.
For sure.
Like how many people probably have a thing where it's like, oh, I can't fucking sleep without jacking off, or I can't. It's the same way you can't coffee in the morning. You know what I mean? Or like, you know what? I deal with this, and it's like it just forces you to find other things.
Yeah. Also, is she not kind of referencing the fact that these people probably all watch porn and then they're taking a month off porn, which is probably pretty good?
Of course, there's benefits if you're a fucking. If this became any sort of a problem for dudes, which they've shown it for a million dudes has become a problem, I'll tell you a good one. I bet you there's lots of guys that just like they have so much porn that they're like, it's screwed up their things that they can't get as hard.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So
sure.
I bet you the month off, you're probably coming back with a piece.
Oh,
with some granite.
she's walking funny for December. Walk funny December.
She probably would be fucking funny, but I also think you'd be coming back pretty quick.
Yeah.
It'd be a quick session.
Oh, yeah. First one?
After you come back in after the month and you're just like, let's go. Okay, that's it. All right.
It's like the South Park when the internet.
Yeah. When it comes back on the walls. Oh, yeah. You are coming back hard where you like, baby, it's been a month now and finally December 1st is time. Okay.
I mean, that would be the only.
Hold on.
That would be the actual only real good case she could make. Is she's like, think of the women on December 1st. She's like, think of us on December 1st.
But imagine being like a sexologist and not understanding this. For some dudes, it becomes like a bad habit that doing no nut's going to get rid of it.
Sexologist is the most made up fucking thing.
That's such a funny thing, man. There's no way you'd want to date a sexologist either.
Yeah, that's like sexologist, like your mom. It's like someone's mom like becomes that when she's like a stay-at-home mom, and then like the marriage isn't doing well in like the 50s, and then she's like, I'm becoming a sexologist, and you're like, oh god.
Definitely bringing all these stupid toys in the building. Every time you come home, there's like some unmarked package on the front of your door, and you just shudder as you have to bring in her, you know, dildo.
It's vibrating.
10,000.
You pick it up. It's like, zzz. You're like, oh god.
Okay, this is enough. Becoming a black.
Your dad's just down in the workshop, just repairing all your mom's fucking Hitachi wands that have all burnt out.
Your mom being a sexologist stinks. Yeah, and she's basically saying that No Nut November community centers around ideas like these. It has even been suggested by people in support of the challenge that abstinence can increase testosterone, but experts in actual research have presented data that suggests the complete opposite of this. I like to say that I'm a little bit of an expert myself.
Yeah.
I'm also a little bit of an expert in the field. Well, then why do all the... I thought that there was sort of science behind the like semen retention stuff.
Well, I know. I remember. I think
all
I
the
heard,
fighters and
Yeah,
stuff.
Muhammad Ali would say that he wouldn't.
Yeah.
He wouldn't.
So much of it's mental. So much of it probably is if you think there is, that it is. You
Exactly,
know?
for sure.
I've never tried any of this stuff, but
No, I remember maybe like 8 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and see how long I could go.
an hour.
And I think I lasted 4 days or something.
You started writing your blog.
Yeah.
You're just like, day one of no. All right. And then you just changed the title to I almost tried No
Almost
Nut November.
Made it.
What did you try? What was your goal? Were you trying to do a
I was
week?
trying to do a month, but this was before No November was a thing. It
You
was-
try all the things, eh?
Yeah, I'm interested in them. This is I remember I think I tried to do it in like springtime or something. It just, I don't know, it didn't work.
Springtime wasn't working out with the new outfits.
No, I don't know. It had nothing to do with the outfits. It was just, I don't know. Couldn't do it.
There's an ongoing narrative in the No Nut November movement that these side effects of a lack of masturbation are a symptom that men are hooked on or sexual pleasure. This feeds into the myth of sex addiction. So sexologists, their whole thing is that sex can be an addiction now.
The myth of sex addiction.
The myth of sex addiction.
What are dudes supposed to blame it on?
You also don't need science to be like, because they're like, well, the science has proved that. It's like, well, yeah, I once had to go home from work early to jerk off. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't really need science to tell me I did that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
You know what I
like,
mean?
so what's the explanation there? What
Yeah,
was
it's
that?
like every guy's being like, I had to like skip school and like ride my bike home so I could spank one out because my fucking brain was gonna break.
I mean, every guy who's listening to this podcast right now has just, in a totally improper setting, has just like, skulked away for 5 minutes to go rub one out.
And their thing is like, well, science is saying that didn't happen, and it's like, well, it did.
Yeah, it did. It definitely
Yeah,
did.
that's the other thing is like, you just being like, you can't stop jerking, and your mom's like, you have an addiction. You're like, well, science proves that there's no such thing. So
Yeah, so I'm just a healthy young man.
yeah, their research, if you're the right guy, is nice research for you. If like your wife's like, you're jerking off way too much, and you're just like, well, according to Sylvia Nabs,
Yeah.
it's actually the perfect amount.
It's the right amount. There's no such thing as the wrong amount.
There's no such thing as the right amount. Also, I will say, just even as a person that like has gone through phases where you're banging more and less with different people, especially, as opposed to just one all the time, I will say like your drive does go down when you kind of stick it to just one.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
sure.
like the same reason that like if you're probably not watching like porn and all that sort of stuff. I think probably what happens is this is my synopsis of it. It's just like, it's like anything like smoking or drinking or food or whatever. If you have a thing where like whenever I get like a little bit anxious, I go eat food, or whenever I'm sort of like trying to figure this out, you know what, I need a coffee or whatever, I have a smoke. It's like, it becomes one of those things for people, right?
Yeah,
Then if you just kick that one out, all of a sudden you'll find some new version of what you do. Oh, maybe it's something healthy for someone. Like
It depends on the person too. I think most guys, like if you're like a guy in your 20s and you're like, I'm doing No Nut November, that's a slog. That month is. It's not like you're like, oh, out of sight, out of mind.
I know.
That's gonna be top of mind.
I don't think so. I think most high school guys are doing all nut November.
That's what I'm saying. But if you're like, hey,
And
I'm
December.
not gonna, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'll just deal with this come December. Like that's gonna be, you're gonna be thinking about that a lot.
Well, she went into the Reddits, and she was like, one guy even said that he was very full of shame because he said he got an erection over the Amy Schumer special. And then, so that's another reason why No Nut November is bad, because they're saying comments like this in the message boards.
It's disgusting. That special is to be watched and enjoyed.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get an erection over it.
Well, you're not going to like what they said next. If you're going to break No Nut November, do it for someone hotter. So so No Nut November can also lead to sexism. I don't know if you know that.
That's messed up.
You think you're just an innocent guy that stopped spanking it? Well, before you know it, you're calling girls not hot.
Yeah. You're fucking, you think anybody like,
It's a slippery slope.
think anybody broke No Nut November for that Pelosi pick with the jugs? Someone's
Yes.
like, I can't take it.
I do think that someone spanked to that. I think multiple people did.
Oh, for sure.
Well, here's the
that's a
real
weird
question:
one.
is did most of the people that spanked it to that photo were they over 45 or under 45?
Good question.
Because you probably have more people spanking the younger.
Yeah.
But you'd like to think that like a 55-year-old guy, those jugs actually could be doing it for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whereas
I
if
think
a
that if
30s
you're into
reluctant
those
spank-
jugs, that's like you're just into those your whole life.
Yeah, but she's an old woman, right?
But that's what I'm saying. You've probably been into the old women since you're like,
You think that's a fetish?
that's a fetish.
So you think that there's not guys that are 60 that actually genuinely think like a 60-year-old woman does it for them?
But she's like 80.
Okay, she's 80.
Yeah, so you're like maybe an 80-year-old guy, but you're like, if you're a 60-year-old dude and you're like, yeah, I just love.
That might be a treat for you at 80, though. You're like, oh, my own age and these sort of jugs kicking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't have to do girls. I finally found an 80-year-old that's like in my gear.
How badly do you think a strip club would do if it was only women over 70? Do you think it could
might do
there could be
okay.
one of them in like the biggest city and like could New York sustain one?
They'd have to be in Florida, like near the retirement home
I
community.
guess, yeah. Like, is there? I guess, yeah.
It's hard for those girls.
I
to
guess
do
you'd
the
feel
dances,
sad though.
It would
too.
feel extremely sad.
Like if you go, boys, let's go to the fucking Peelers. You show up and it's just all grandmas.
That is maybe the saddest.
I mean, sometimes when you go to those sad strip clubs and there is like a woman there, you go like, oh, she's probably like in her 50s.
The older,
like
the-
she's on the like almost done this career.
yeah, or she isn't getting out anytime ever.
Yeah. Or
Oh,
like,
she's getting pushed out.
yeah. Or she's just like, yeah, they don't pay her. They're not going to fire her. Like whatever.
She's on tips
She only eats
exclusively.
what she kills. And she ain't killing
Yeah.
much.
That's probably one of the reasons why the old woman rippers isn't good. But they would have to find like new school like moms that started at 60 because they're like going through a new empowerment.
Sure.
They'd have to make it like empowering, like you know what I mean?
I mean, I guarantee you,
the liberation fucking hut.
there must be a stripper in the United States that's over 60. No question.
Of course,
But
yeah.
she's probably one of those like super hot, like she's
She's
was like a
doing
model
okay.
and all, has all the plastic surgery and
And she's probably also little extras coming from her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how she stays in the game.
of course you have to compensate.
If you're getting older, you need to start. You're not just doing rips. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is it because we're such just a misogynistic culture? Is that why we can't have a all grandma strip club?
Yeah.
Is that just misogyny?
Well, it's because of stuff like No Nut November. It really is a slippery slope. You're just like, yeah, I'll take a month off nutting. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're in a chat group talking about joining the Black Israelites. This girl probably spanks it so much, though, too. The
yeah.
sexologist who's so against this. She goes, there's also the language there's language focused on showing your power, and winning is rooted in misogyny. So that's another fun one, that winning is rooted in misogyny.
of course, because women are losers. You losers.
And purity culture. It does not make you a failure to masturbate.
I mean, it does if you're trying to win this challenge.
It
you've set
definitely
for
depends
yourself.
on what you're doing. Yeah. But this one coming would be a really crappy mom, because like what you want is her to just like leave it alone.
Yeah.
Like what you don't want is your mom coming in your room telling you like, listen, son, I know you're spanking it and you should be. And you go, Mom, I just don't want to talk about this. You go, ba 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 ba. You right hand guy, you left hand guy. You ever try the stranger? I'm gonna show you some literature, and it's just literature on how to do the stranger. Son, come here. Give me your hand. She sits on it.
Yeah, or like she's like, in October she goes, son, so I've been hearing about this no nut November thing, and I just want to make sure you're not going to be participating in anything like this.
Anything bad like that?
Yeah, I know. I see you've been going to the gym a lot recently, and your bed has been made.
Your browser history's been cleared.
Yeah, I've been looking at your browser. You're getting all A's in school, and you're doing really well in sports. I just want to make sure you're not going to fall into this, this ideology of no nut. And then like literally like
The wrong
he
crowd.
comes home from high school or whatever, and it's just like all the pinup models are like on his walls, and it's like she put them there, like she's trying to bait him into jerking off. It's just like he comes home, it's like there's some chicks there. It's like, who's this? It's like a prostitute the mom hires.
Yeah, the idea of like she doesn't want her son hanging out with the wrong crowd. What's the wrong crowd? These guys that aren't spanking it.
So she's just dropping little things just everywhere. There's just like tissues and fucking Lube everywhere.
Son. Now listen, I don't
This
want
is
you
a
hanging
nut
out with
house.
these guys. This is a nut house. I don't want you hanging out with these guys that aren't cranking them.
Oh God.
Yeah, we could do it together. Hold my hand. No, stop, Mom, stop it. And the deeper message propelling No Nut November is also anti-porn. So that's the other thing. They're losing some revenue to the girls that they're spanking for.
Yeah. Because this is liberal feminism, so they love porn. So they go like, you're taking money out of the OnlyFans host's mouth.
That's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah. Like if you're like a OnlyFans creator, like November now is like the dip month. Should have historically been like the second best month leading up to December, and now they're kind of fucking up their revenues.
The sexologist probably has one of her own.
Probably.
I'm going to give you a credit card. I only want you to use it for emergencies. Like for
emergency OnlyFans accounts.
Yeah, I only want to use it for emergency OnlyFans accounts. So that's what's going on with this girl.